Hi, everybody. Dr. Terry Rouse here. Welcome to another edition of Snuggle Bunny Storytime. This month, I am so excited because I have a series of books about famous artists that a dear friend of mine suggested to me, and I wanted to share them all with you. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to share a couple of those with you in Snuggle Bunny Storytime, and I will share all of them with those of you who are part of the Snuggle Bunny Book Club. Listen, if you're not part of Snuggle Bunny Book Club and you want to have a subscription and join us on in our private membership area, all you need to do is go to the link drterryrouse.com/SBBC. I'll put that into the comments below for all of you. Easy link to get at, and you can start your subscription and have access to all of the books that I read and drop in on a weekly basis. So, to start today, for Snuggle Bunny Storytime, we're going to read a book about Leonardo da Vinci, and it's called Leonardo and the Flying Boy. Give me 1 second while I change over our cameras, and we'll get started. All right, here we go. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Leonardo and the Flying Boy by Lawrence and Hall. There were no spaceships or airplanes when Zorro was a boy. The sky belonged to the birds, but one man dreamed of something incredible. One day, Zorro, he told his pupil, people will sail through the clouds and look down at the world below. Anything is possible. The man with the amazing dream and a beard like a wizard was Leonardo da Vinci. Anything seemed possible in Leonardo's busy studio. He was a painter, a sculptor, a musician, and a scientist. Sometimes he showed Zorro his beautiful notebooks where thousands of ideas spilled from every page. We must try to understand everything, said the great genius. How does life begin? How does a plant grow? How do the planets move? How could a person fly like a bird? But when Zorro tried to read the books, he found them written back to front. So the secret words could only be read in a mirror. There was one place where Zorro could never go, one mysterious workshop where the door was always locked. No one was allowed in there except Leonardo himself. Zorro longed to know what was inside. Maybe it's a fantastic sculpture, he thought, or a huge war machine. In the studio, everyone had to work hard. Zorro mixed colors, cleaned brushes, and practiced his drawing. When I am grown up, I will have my own studio, he said, and a secret workshop, too. Of course you will, Zorro, smiled Leonardo. Leonardo was a kind man. If he ever found an animal that was sick or hungry, he would bring it home for his pupils to take care of. But one day, Leonardo found something very strange. He dragged the wild and noisy creature into the studio, where it kicked and fought and spat at the great artist. What is it? Asked Zorro. It's a boy, laughed Leonardo, a very wild boy. He's never been to school, and his mother is too poor to take care of him. She begged me to give him some work before he ends up in prison. The wild boy grabbed Leonardo's hand and bit very hard. Leonardo pretended to be angry, but Zorro could see that he was laughing. I'll call you Salai, said Leonardo. It means little devil, and that's exactly what you are. So Salai came to stay in the studio, and although he was a bad boy, everyone grew to like him. But you can't wear those rags, said Leonardo. I'm going to buy you a real velvet suit and some shoes. Now, where did I leave my money? They searched high and low until at last Zorro found the money hidden in Salai's filthy coat. Zorro couldn't believe it. Who would dare steal from Leonardo da Vinci? Day after day, Leonardo dreamed up inventions of every kind. Zorro was amazed to see a parachute, the very first bicycle, a deadly war machine, a gadget for walking on water, a life preserver, and a diving suit. Once he built a machine for cutting and polishing glass and made himself a pair of spectacles. Now I can keep an eye on Salai, he said, winking at Zorro. Early one morning, Leonardo took Zorro into town to look for interesting faces to draw. He noticed someone especially beautiful or unusually ugly. Leonardo would follow them, making dozens of sketches. They came to the market where a lady was selling birds in tiny cages. Leonardo looked at the birds. Then, to Zorro's surprise, he bought them all. But instead of taking the birds home as pets, Leonardo told Zorro to open the cages. Everyone stared. No one could understand. A bird should be free, said Leonardo. Look, Zorro, can you see how their wings push against the air? It gives me an idea. Leonardo began to run. As soon as he got home, he locked himself in the secret workshop again. Zorro could hear hammering and sawing from inside. Hour after hour, Zorro waited, but Leonardo wouldn't stop for food or drink. What on earth was he building? It must be something incredible, thought Zorro, something no one has ever dreamed of. At last he fell asleep on the steps outside. Leonardo began a wonderful painting of a woman called Mona Lisa. She had to sit for weeks without moving, so Leonardo paid acrobats and musicians to keep her from getting bored. Zorro stared at the dreamy green mountains and the twisting rivers. Surely no one has painted anything so perfect, he thought. The face in the painting was smiling, a mysterious, gentle smile. It's as if she knows some secret, thought Zorro, as if she has seen inside that locked room. Suddenly, Salai crept up behind him. Come with me, Zorro, he hissed. I'll show you something more interesting than that picture. Salai looked very suspicious. He dragged Zorro out of the studio and quietly down the stairs. At the door of the secret workshop, Salai pulled out a big bunch of keys. You stole them, gasped Zorro. Leonardo will throw you back on the street. Salai only laughed and unlocked the door. Zorro knew he shouldn't be there. He should turn and run to Leonardo, but he just had to see that secret room. Zorro couldn't believe his eyes. An extraordinary machine filled the room. Its wings were like a great eagle's. Help me pull it outside, ordered Salai. If we wait until Leonardo is ready, we will never fly. Anyway, you were the only one small enough to fit in the machine. It was made for you. You will be the flying boy. Leonardo will be furious, whispered Zorro. Not when he sees you flying above the studio, shouted Salai. Come on, Zorro, help me. So, as Leonardo worked upstairs, Salai and Zorro hauled and dragged the heavy machine out of the workshop, along the streets, and far into the fields. Salai pointed to the highest hill. We will try the machine from there, he said. As the sun set, they reached the top. Now, panted Salai, just lie in here. When you pedal, the wings will flap. Zorro was shaking. He felt ill. Maybe the machine isn't finished, he cried. We should be patient. But Salai was already strapping Zorro into the machine and dragging it toward the edge of the hill. Zorro was terrified. He began to shout. Suddenly, there was a gust of wind. Salai pushed and the flying machine left the ground. Zorro looked down at the world below. He was sobbing with fear. But for a few seconds, he flew like a bird. It works! It works! Shouted the wild boy far below. But something was wrong. The bird was too heavy. Zorro pedaled and pulled, but the machine began to fall. At that moment, Leonardo came running across the fields. Zorro tugged on the ropes and screamed as the machine fell like a stone and crashed into a tree. Leonardo himself pulled Zorro's limp body from the wrecked machine and carefully carried him home. Salai followed slowly, his head hanging in shame. Zorro was lying in bed. His leg hurt. His head was wrapped in bandages. Oh, Zorro, said Leonardo sadly, it doesn't surprise me that Salai would disobey me. But you... Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps people will never fly. We are not birds. From now on, I will stick to painting. No, said Zorro quietly. Remember what you told me? One day people will fly. The machine was too heavy, that's all. Leonardo thought for a moment. Then he jumped up. Yes, he shouted. And the wings should have been longer, like this. And he threw open his notebook and began to work, slowly and patiently, until a beautiful drawing appeared. A new flying machine, more amazing than ever. And while he worked, Leonardo began to smile, a mysterious, gentle smile, as if he could see far into the future, where boys and girls, just like Zorro, could sail through the clouds. And anything is possible. The end. Wow, I hope that you enjoyed Leonardo and the Flying Boy. In the back of this book, just so you know, there's a really interesting section that tells all about Leonardo da Vinci himself. I'm guessing that, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing that this is historical fiction. I'm sure some of it is correct. All about the drawings and the paintings and sculpting and all of that is all true about Leonardo da Vinci. But wouldn't it be interesting if this story is actually based on something that was written and left behind by Leonardo da Vinci? Wouldn't it be amazing to think about all the things that are possible? Even today, there's so much more to learn and for us to experience. So I hope that you all will go out into the world and find something extraordinarily interesting that grabs your attention and that you will follow it just like Leonardo did in creating his flying machine. Again, thank you so much for being part of Snuggle Bunny Storytime with me today. And I will see you here again for another Snuggle Bunny Storytime. Again, if you have the opportunity, please go and check out drterryrouse.com/SBBC so that you can start your subscription to the Snuggle Bunny Book Club, where you'll get all of the books that we read, not only during Snuggle Bunny Storytime, but for our private membership group as well. All right, everybody, thank you. Enjoy, and I'll see you again